The Rotary Central Music Extravaganza is Saturday, November 26th. Your ticket, your chance, your prize. Grand prize $40,000. Second prize $4,000. 6 $1,000 prizes and more. Get your $25 tickets now through Rotary Central members, Rotary Central ticket sellers, eventpro.ky, or WhatsApp Rotarian Annie Rose Scott in Cayman Brack at 916-7310. The Rotary Music Extravaganza at Salty's Grand Harbor. Performances by Heat, Fabulous 68 and CNB. November 26th, you can be the winner. Proceeds fund Rotary Central Community Projects. Rotary Central NPO number 232. Rotary, all the good you imagine.
Now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Everywhere.
Can you hear me now? Everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes, right from your Android or iPhone. Download the Radio Cayman app now on your Android or iOS phone.
The Radio Cayman app
is where you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere you go.
Everywhere we go, we go. Everywhere we go, we go.
Find it in the Google Store, the Apple Store, or use the link at www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Yes, now you can listen to Radio Cayman everywhere.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331.
Talk Today is proudly brought to you by Pirates Fest 2022. Stay in the know. Get the full event lineup at piratesfestcayman.com.
And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Oh, I think they're doing a great job. A lot of them are.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Radio Cayman's Talk Today with Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
But I do have some questions.
There are more questions than answers.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today.
If you're ready to talk, we're willing to listen.
Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome, and thanks for joining us. And we want you to be a part of our discussion. Our first conversation is going to be with the excellent partnership with the National Drug Council and the RCIPS. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for joining us, and it's a pleasure to be able to welcome the prevention specialist for the National Drug Council, that honorable gentleman who gives so tirelessly, Mr. Simon Miller. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Pleasant good afternoon, Sir Sterling.
Always for me an honor. I say you bring to the studio a willingness to share information that is instructive, informative, and causes us to really look at our actions, especially as parents, adults in general, but parents specifically. So we need to be mindful that what we do and say can and impact our children. So thank you to the NDC for what you do.
Thank you for always having us. And it's always a pleasure to be in your company, sir. You always, when I come to the studio, you always make me think, and when I leave, you leave me with thoughts on my mind. The conversation we were having earlier is case in point. So
thank you, sir. It is good, iron sharpens iron. So
there you go.
There you go. And I think, whether it's Mikhail or any of the other colleagues in the media section of the RCIPS, it's probably not doing justice to her persona. But as media officer of RCIPS, Ms. Jodianne Poirier, thank you very much, Mom. You come with a smile always.
Thank you. I try.
It is interesting that we are in this for want of a better word, this season, for me, friends say it's not just a season of festivities and Thanksgiving. It's a season of eating and celebrating. And, whether it's my preference, good coconut water, just straight, don't need to be served in anything.
Yes, sir.
Not even in a glass.
No.
Not even with a straw.
No.
But for some of us, it's other festivities. I say this hopefully won't be perceived anything other than a true desire. When I become governor, I'll have a national law. There'll be no flex. This is how it's going to be. It's the dictate from me as governor. As we're going to have a national go-slow from the 22nd, 21st of December to about the 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 10th of January, where you just sit in fellowship. Even the emergency services, because life is going to be so perfect, nobody's going to have the need for anything, and we all playing dominoes and eating fish tea, because I'll have a cake, of course, in that festivity.
I love the forward thinking, Sir Sterling.
There you go. So, and it's not going to be voting for me. It's going to be near appointment. And the reason why I say that is that I was thinking about a discussion today, and perhaps, maybe in a fanciful way, recalling as a youth what I thought transpired when our fathers and uncles came back from sea, and they sat around and they seemed to have been in the backyard constantly, celebrating. So glad to have them back home safely. And there was festivities, lots of food, and whatever quote unquote little trouble we had wasn't significant, wasn't serious, and was soon forgotten, and we moved about safely. Now some would say, well, you had 5 people then, now we got 5 million. That may be true, right? The world is on the brink of 8 billion people, but it was a sense of responsibility and respect, and people perhaps didn't have that pressure to leave where they were to get somewhere else, work in particular, and the movement was done in a way that, hey, let me get you there. On the way in, a former police officer, and to me once a police officer, like an educator, always a police officer, he said he would remember, moving around in his little community and acting, in my words, what would be akin to that sort of designated driver. Getting, Mr. John from this neighbor's house to the next, because that was a safe way. Now, again, might have been 1 or 2 cars in the district. We did that. I ask that, if it's not improper, as a premise for our discussion today. Let's make sure we arrive alive. So, Mr. Simon, sir.
Absolutely, and I love that you took the time out to paint that picture, and I love the word responsible, because that's the key thing, and that's what we want to promote. We want people to be more responsible, whether you're agreeing to be a designated driver during the holiday season, whether you decide to take the pledge, for example, for the holiday season, not to drink and drive, or whether you want to just be responsible and just by how you approach the whole holiday season. If you're putting together a party, for example, for your staff members, make sure that you're taking time out to carefully plan a safe ride home for them. So I very much appreciate you taking the time to paint that picture of fellowship and what things were, years ago. There should be no reason why we can't practice that today. With having more people, if more people take on that premise, we'd have a much more beautiful country, and then overall a much more beautiful world.
Well, I'm hoping that would be what we would try to do, and we see, instead of a competitive, confrontational, we see it as being cooperative and civil.
Yeah.
Ms. Julianne, I won't say commissioner. I won't do that.
Thank you. Please don't.
Okay.
way above my rank.
No, but how do we do that? How do we get to that space where individually, and I'm reading, being mindful of Ms. Norma's instructions. Listen, you got 2 phones in front of you. Use them. The reason why they're given to you. And I want to share one of the comments from one of our listeners. I think can be relevant to what we're saying, but how do we get to that space then where we're doing just that? We're working together, we're taking the individual responsibility, understanding that it's not about laws and legislation, it's about personal responsibility and accountability.
Right, yeah, and you said it. It's about accountability. It's about people recognizing that, yes, the NEC is there to facilitate you doing the right thing by running several different programs to initiate safe driving and not to drink and drive and not to use drugs and not to be under the influence. And the police is there with our first priority being, the preservation of life and making sure that the roads are safe, providing a presence however way that we can, but also recognizing that you too, as an individual, as a member of the public, as a Caymanian, have a responsibility to make sure that you are also doing the right thing by not drinking and driving, by not driving under the influence of any other, substances, because that is also an offense. It's not just alcohol. To make sure that you're not speeding, to make sure that you instill in your children who are up and coming drivers that these things are absolutely, without a doubt, wrong.
And I'm glad
and should not happen.
You share that, because I think, and I'm not saying this to be indignant, adamant, even, some would say, well, let me use a different word, leave that for now. We say, Sam and I have this conversation often, right? Drugs and alcohol. And to me, alcohol is a drug. So when you're driving under the influence, it's not just that thing that you legally purchase because you purchase from a licensed purveyor, you're over the age, is that thing that is still illegal. It's anything that impairs your ability. And for some of us, we may not appreciate how impaired we are, or in fact that we are impaired until stopped by a police officer, you're submitted to the requisite tests, and then you find yourself before the courts, your license is gone, you're embarrassed and you're kicking yourself for being so...
Well, I want to take it a step further than that,
Would
Sterling.
you please? Yes, ma'am.
You don't know that you were actually impaired, and I'm glad that you used that term impaired, because you can be DUI, where you were over the legal limit, which has changed, by the way, and we can talk about that a little bit.
Please.
But you can also be under that limit, but still be impaired, and that is still an offense.
I want you to expand on that a bit.
Yeah. Right? So let me explain. You don't know that you are impaired until you're driving along the road and you meet in an accident or a collision. I don't call them accidents, because if you drink and then you drive, you chose that.
It was a conscious decision.
That was a
right?
conscious decision. So you have a collision on the road, and an officer comes and breathalyzes you, and then you realize you're either over the limit or you're under the limit. But whether you're over the limit or under the limit, it doesn't make a difference, because you were driving impaired, which is an offense.
And then you just, for my benefit, if the limit is X and you're under that, you can be charged for exceeding the limit, but then you're impaired, and that
is also an offense based on the fact that you've met in a collision.
Right. And I think many of us don't appreciate that. I think, Simon, you've shared this often. What has happened during the day affects you. Did you eat?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All sorts of things.
Yeah, there's so many factors that contribute. I mean, we could even look outside of the scope of alcohol, because we mentioned other drugs as well. Certain prescription medications, clearly the doctor tells you don't operate any sort of motor vehicle or anything, sort of machinery. It's so many things.
Yeah. And I recall a story way back when. A fellow said, thankfully nothing happened. It wasn't anything significant. In his instance, somebody actually recognized the story. He's leaving a function and had, to his mind, a very small quantity of a particular drink, just to celebrate a toast. Nobody questions whether or not he had a lot, and that impairment for that period of time affected him. Luckily, he didn't get behind the wheel. He didn't go anywhere, but it caused him to stumble, and he's convinced that's what it was. The day was hectic. He had nothing to eat, all the stress, and luckily for that little stumble, it made him get the attention of a friend. Say, "Hey, you okay? Are you okay?" Because he didn't have nothing to drink, right? That helped him to not, and he convinced himself that that's why, he didn't meet upon his word mishap because of that. But when I come back, maybe I use that as a premise to say, can we be our brother's keeper? Be the designated driver. Be that person that allows us to make sure that, not just we live in a place where it's unsafe. Let's make sure everybody gets home after the party. Yeah. But we live in a place where it's unsafe and foolish, irresponsible, illegal to drive under some influence. All right. Next 15 minutes or 5 hours, whatever you wish, Miss Julie.
Well, I just want to touch on the fact that we're here because it's the 22nd anniversary for the Arrival Live, the Purple Ribbon Bus campaign, which is now integrated into the Arrival Live campaign. And that being said, it's the first year where the DUI limit is now 70% instead of 100%. I think that's the easiest way for people to understand it. It's the DUI limit has been reduced by 30%. So that means that the normal level that you would be in order to be over the limit has now been reduced by 30%. We have never, as an organization, and I mean the police when I say we, advocated that make sure that you stay under the limit. We've always said, do not drink and drive, period. Because as Simon says, you don't know what your day was like. You don't know how to measure what it would take for you to be over the limit. And that factor has now also been reduced by another 30%.
Yeah. And you don't want to take that chance.
You really don't.
Right.
Because, and let me give you some figures. As of the end of last month, we've arrested 187 people for DUI. Right? That was the end of October.
Wow.
Of that, it gets worse. Of that 187, 42% of those people were arrested as a result of a collision. So 77 of those persons out of the 187 were arrested because they met in an accident while they were DUI. So those figures alone tell you that this is an actual problem. It is not something that is being made up. Drinking and driving causes collisions in a big way.
And we need to arrest that issue. Let's pause, take this quick break. Please join us a few more minutes. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Savannah Pharmacy saved my life.
Really? Was it the medication they got you?
No, not this time. I forgot my wife's birthday. They were the perfect place for last-minute shopping.
That's one way to give yourself heart failure. Don't wait last minute for Christmas. Savannah Pharmacy is stocked up for Christmas right now. Gifts for men, women, and children. Home decor, clothes, toys for all ages, fragrances, candles, handbags, and so much more. I was there the other day, and trust me, they'll even wrap all your presents too.
Savannah Pharmacy, a lifesaver in more ways than one.
Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village provides you with more than just prescriptions. Always just around the corner with everything your family needs for this holiday season. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
We think it's time you crossed over to a new vehicle. And with the Toyota Corolla Cross now at Vant Motors, you have plenty of reasons to make the switch. The crossover body and hybrid engine is a sleek design in a sturdy structure with a spacious interior that opens to extensive cargo space. Stuck in traffic? The high-performance self-charging hybrid system automatically switches between gas and electric vehicle mode, helping you lower both fuel costs and carbon emissions. The Corolla Cross has full LED lighting inside and out, an integrated display audio system with energy monitor, and a dual-zone climate control system to ensure comfort for all. Test drive the new Toyota Corolla Cross Hybrid today at Vant Motors, Walkers Road. Pirates Fest. A little bit of old, a little bit of new. The evolution of Cayman's Pirates. A little bit of fun for everyone. Grand Cayman festivities from November 10th through the 20th. 10 days, 33 events. From happy hour parties, cardboard boat races, the Trial of the Pirates, float parade, national song competition, pooch parades, races, fireworks. So many fireworks. Pirates Fest is here. 33 events, 10 days, November 10th through the 20th. Stay in the know. Get the full event lineup at piratesfestcayman.com.
Pirate fire, raging through Church Street, bright and little Cayman, putting on some heat.
From the CI Retro's Wattle Vault, Radio Cayman and Breeze Radio, in cooperation with the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, presents this short narrative in honor of all of our Caymanians who served under UK and United States military commands during democracy's greatest challenges, sacrificing and giving their all in the defense and preservation of freedom and democracy and the freedoms we all enjoy here today in the Cayman Islands. Listen now to seafarer Mr. Lee Smith, who in 1940, during World War II, was sailing under the British Admiralty Military Command, as he briefly describes the danger he faced.
I'll never forget this voyage. It was from Australia. It was in the South Atlantic, between Cape Town, South Africa, and Sierra Leone, North Africa. We saw this it looked like a bird on the horizon, and shortly after that the captain got a signal saying stop and don't use your radio or we'll blow you out of the water.
So this was a message from the Germans?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was the Admiral Scheer, and in no time at all this ship was alongside of us, told us to take our boats and get off the ship and proceed to the Admiral Scheer. And as soon as we got aboard, they torpedoed our ship. The Scheer took us aboard a supply ship, and we was on there for 3 weeks.
This is a German supply ship?
The German supply ship. We was there for 3 weeks. Then they took us to France. We spent 3 weeks in France, and from there to Germany.
And then 5 years in a German prisoner of war camp, being liberated at the end of the war, returning home to Grand Cayman and going back out to sail the 7 seas. The preceding is a presentation of the Cayman Islands Veterans Association, Radio Cayman, and Breeze Radio. The poppy appeal is ongoing, so get your poppy and wear it proudly in this period of remembrance and always.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And thanks too for the opportunity to partner with the NDC prevention specialist, Mr. Simon Miller, together with the RCPS media officer, Julianne Powery, joins us. And is it Detective Constable?
I am uniform. Well, it is. I used to be a detective, but it's just PC.
Just PC.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I try to be PC, but I always,
I lost my PC name tag, and I had to wear a name tag, so that's why I have this one.
Okay. See, sometimes you should ask first before you. Never assume. Because when you assume, you make other people. No, just kidding. Yeah. You know what? I was going to pivot and try a little bit of humor because I learned better through laughter.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping people that next year this time, so they can say, boy, I really appreciated the information you gave, because they arrive alive, 3, 4, 5. So,
Yes.
22 years. Yeah, I think when you started, I was only 2.
Yes,
That's
sir.
good.
My goodness.
How time flies.
Yeah, 22 years, it feels like it was just yesterday. It's just a beautiful thing to watch, the program and what we try to accomplish from year to year just grow. But more so to see the people here on the island just take part in what we offer with all our partners, the RCIPS, Compass Media, who is fantastic, by the way, that's partnering with us, and all of our corporate sponsors who make this possible. So, Sterling, I mean, it's without them, none of this can happen. All of the major bars and restaurants that come on board with the designated driver program, while we're here, we're still looking for sponsors because although the program launched yesterday, December 1st is the official launch for all the restaurants and the bars in terms of receiving your free soft drinks if you go out with a party and that sort of thing. So we just really we're thankful. We're thankful for you give us the opportunity to come on here to let your listening audience know that we're here 22 years, and we want your involvement. We want your participation.
As I looked again at the message that came through earlier, I was going to reference the person message back and say, go ahead and share it. Just being that initially, when they were out partying and stuff, you didn't realize and appreciate, if it's okay to use the word, how drunk you got. You're with friends. You don't realize that you're drunk. And the person who gives a story that, thankfully, they're with friends, some are home. It's a guy, he says, weird, this was presumably a long time ago. Didn't realize that we all were drinking. Yeah, we're conscious that, we were drinking and driving, but you're not that drunk. You're more intoxicated than the others, so you're not going to drive. And not appreciating how we need to get that space where this is not just individual responsibility to accepting and accountability, but it's socially, societally unacceptable, laws and enforcement aside, and share that it's incumbent on us, as this person types it up, that we don't just venture out without having somebody that helps us.
A plan.
You
need to have a plan. And I think that ultimately it will have to be a generational cultural change in order for us to actually instill this. But it has to start somewhere, and hopefully it can start here. You plan everything. You plan what you're going to wear, where you're going to go, who you're going to go with. You probably plan how much you're going to spend to drink. So also include into that plan, how am I going to get home? How am I going to get there, and how am I going to get home? I think the government has a CI Go app where you can go on there and calculate your taxi fares. Utilize these tools that are out there for you so that you can keep yourself safe, keep the community safe, and keep your families secure. Because your decision impacts everybody. It's not just you.
It does indeed. Simon?
So again, I mean, in just to encourage the public, like I said, to take the pledge. If you have decided or if you're thinking about making that decision not to drink and drive this holiday season, go out to the Compass Media. I think some of the various gas stations, liquor stores, that sort of thing, will have these purple magnets. Put them on your car, or purple stickers this year. Actually, they're not magnets. And take that stance. We have some wonderful giveaways that are going to be coming up that we're going to make an announcement later on in regards to getting some free gas vouchers for those people who have purple ribbons on their cars. So get involved, and then if you're out, ask the establishment that you're at, whether you're in a bar or restaurant, ask them if they're a part of the designated driver program. And if you're the designated driver, they'll give you a beautiful little purple key chain, and that highlights to the server that you're the designated driver, and you receive free soft drinks on that establishment for the evening. So, and again, the Purple Ribbon Bus is on the 31st for New Year's Eve. And as we get closer to that, we'll start announcing times and that sort of thing. But to Jody's point, make these things a part of your regular planning, and make that become a part of your family philosophy that you live by. And I think eventually then we'll start to see that we have this responsible culture here in the Cayman Islands.
One quick message, and I appreciate the listeners sharing. Let me read this over. Let me put it further away here. I think this person, I said, socially unacceptable. You said, generational shift. And this person is saying that with the, how do I put this now? Because how they've written it, you see the sensitivity and that almost inherent ethos that we have. I'm from this place, and drinking for us is, like water. Right, and we understand with some people. He says, I won't use the nationality, so a pint isn't a problem, but isn't it, Ms. Jody? It's and what a person. I guess I should just elaborate further. What a person is saying is not condoning drinking and driving, but how do we ensure that we are not just only individually responsible, but mindful that our actions have consequences, and how do we balance that? I just responded saying, but if it's 5 of us going out, do all 5 of us need to drink?
Yeah, and I understand that drinking is a culture in some countries, but all of those countries also have things in place, such as the DUI law that prevents people from drinking and driving, because every country across the world, it's universal, recognizes that drinking and driving is dangerous, and it costs people lives.
Yeah.
So, regardless of where you're from, the fact is we have rules where we are. And you want to be here.
Yeah.
Well, how do I say this now? Okay, Simon, go ahead. I'll read this one in a second.
And the truth is, we have seen too much examples on our roads, guys. Too many examples. And we want to make sure that we start to put little things in place to start to change that. We don't need any more fatalities. We don't need any more fender benders, whether it's whatever sort of impaired driving, even distraction driving in terms of text messages and all that sort of stuff. We need to get into a place where our actions, we have to take, responsibility for our actions. So therefore be responsible and say, okay, well, I'm not going to partake. I'm not going to do these things.
Miss Aileen, bless her soul, would always share publicly.
Yes.
Not just because it was her practice, back where she originated, but she did it here. She said she would put her cell phone in the boot. I won't try to imitate her. She was just a wonderful lady. She says because it's there.
And you'll be tempted.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter, whether you have this connected device and you can drive and talk. She's not driving that far that thing answering
has to come out.
Yeah. So she would, and I'm not.
Well, such a easy, simple thing to do that you can. And I didn't even get to the fiddles this year, but it's 13 collisions with 14 deaths this year, right? One of whom was a very, very young child. Who met in a collision with her father and died.
And whether it's excessive speed. Inattention,
which is also an issue.
Whether it's some level of your impairment.
But imagine when you're DUI and you decide to speed. We're running out of time. But let me just share something with you. The average reading for the year so far for DUI is 0.184.
0.184.
That's the average.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. And the highest reading we've had so far is 0.326.
And if it was the legal limit, it would be 0.1.
The previous
under the previous
is 0.1.
Right. Now it's 0.07.
Yes.
Right. So 0.184, and you come with 3.597482. That's a lot.
Yeah, and it's been just under 20 arrests have been over the 0.2 margin.
Well, this is probably very, very difficult for some of us to hear because we have been affected. We've caused it. We understand. But unless and until it becomes something that, as you said, part of our responsibility, it'll sadly potentially continue. Your education initiatives aside, at NDC, the arrests and prosecutions, we need to not have that take place.
Well, I mean, I think that we're doing a good job right now in trying to get the message out. And Simon, I threw you under the bus the other day when I was on the business bus. I'm not going to tell you no lie. I did.
See what's been posted online.
I said, we were talking about Operation Winter Guardian, which is starting on the 1st of December alongside the Arrival Life 345 campaign. And I said, I encourage all the corporate companies who are putting on Christmas parties for their staff to make sure that they have shuttle available and encourage their staff to use these shuttles, because at the end of the day, when you lose staff because they were arrested for DUI and now have a drunk driving record and can no longer be employed because of an event that you put on, you have to also try to take some kind of responsibility there. So I told them to call you, Simon, because I knew that you're the man with all the information.
Well, I appreciate you throwing me under the bus. And interestingly enough, although we won't pay because we don't have that sort of money for the service,
of course not,
we would gladly help anyone coordinate and facilitate it.
Yes.
We have actually, and this may be because of you throwing me under the bus, we have actually done that a few times this year. So thank you. Thank you. So if anybody's listening, please take up Jody's suggestion and give us a call.
And remember that the NC
949-9000.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All right.
And remember that the NDC still needs sponsors.
Yes.
For the Arrival Live 345 campaign and other initiatives. So as a corporate sponsor,
we have a suggestion off here. I would prefer to share it with you off air.
Okay.
And then if it's something that you can do. So. But it happens to do with offering up that complimentary service to get people safely from point A to point B if they're out enjoying themselves. But have a plan, I think, is what we
absolutely
share.
And gone are the days when we can say that we don't have resources. Because there are so many. There's a Flex app, the CI Go app with the taxis. There are the shuttle services, but so many different tour bus companies on the island. It's just a matter of us making sure that we utilize them in the best ways that we can. Coming up with innovative and initiate something that will help.
All right. Well, I'm hoping that we'll have more opportunities for discussion, and that prayerfully it'll be very positive. We don't have any more fatalities or accidents, but that's on us. We need to be that committed to our individual responsibility and understand the good sense of not driving under any kind of influence that impairs our judgment or reaction time, or just our vision.
That being said, check out the RCIPS website because we have crime prevention and road safety tips on there.
All right. Mr. Lee, thank you for that extended time. Brother Simon.
So EBANKS, thank you very much for having us, sir.
Always a pleasure. And anyhow we can help in partnership with any of the media outlets in any which way to allow our people to arrive alive. Thanks very much. I'm going to pause. We had a scheduled discussion, but looks like we'll have some open line unless I can get my good friends from the Education Secretariat, the Scholarship Part to come across. Hey, they're going to make it happen. The show goes on. All right, so join us after the break.
Savannah Pharmacy saved my life.
Really? Was it the medication they got you?
No, not this time. I forgot my wife's birthday. They were the perfect place for last-minute shopping.
That's one way to give yourself heart failure. Don't wait last minute for Christmas. Savannah Pharmacy is stocked up for Christmas right now. Gifts for men, women, and children. Home decor, clothes, toys for all ages, fragrances, candles, handbags, and so much more. I was there the other day, and trust me, they'll even wrap all your presents too.
Savannah Pharmacy, a lifesaver in more ways than one.
Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village provides you with more than just prescriptions. Always just around the corner with everything your family needs for this holiday season. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
JN Money, money touchdown. Send the money now, reach wow. You say you need some money, JN Money, I can send it in a hurry. Get through quick when you come collect your cash, or use your money card and swipe it in a flash. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we a pick, yeah. Send and receive funds at any JN Money location. It's fast, affordable, and convenient. Money touchdown with JN Money. Send funds to any bank, yeah. Pay your bills quick, yeah. Low fees, you know what it, yeah. JN Money, we a pick, yeah.
Call 345-945-2014 for details. Available at JN Money locations across the Cayman Islands.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Pirates Fest. A little bit of old, a little bit of new. The evolution of Cayman's Pirates. A little bit of fun for everyone. Grand Cayman festivities from November 10th through the 20th. 10 days, 33 events. From happy hour parties, cardboard boat races, the Trial of the Pirates, float parade, national song competition, pooch parades, races, fireworks. So many fireworks. Pirates Fest is here. 33 events, 10 days, November 10th through the 20th. Stay in the know. Get the full event lineup at piratesfestcayman.com.
Fire, raging through Church Street, bright and little Cayman, putting on some heat.
Hello, Cayman Islands. This is Carly Davis. Come and enjoy an evening of thanksgiving and praise at Cayman Gospel Fest on Saturday, November 19th at the Lions Center. Come see Cayman's best performers and church choirs. My band and I will be there. Admission is free. See you Saturday, November 19th at the Lions Center with Cayman Gospel Fest. You cannot afford to miss it. Yes, come out and let's have fun together.
Brought to you by the Progressives, celebrating 20 years of service to the Cayman Islands.
I've got some beautiful clothes. I know just where they go. Good and cleaner.
Now is the time, and we're ready to help you with your household cleaning needs. And that is bedspreads, comforters, duvets, duvet covers, drapes, and so much more. All items at 7% off prepay, and turnaround time will be 2 to 3 days. Orders can be handled at all 2 stores, Savannah Countryside and Eastern Avenue, drive-through, rain or shine. All stores close at 5:30 p.m. Mondays to Saturdays. Call 949-7104. That's 949-7104. Puritan Cleaners. You feel good when you look good.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice. Local, regional, international. This is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins. The Cayman Islands Monetary Authority has announced the launch of its online campaign, I Learned the Hard Way, which seeks to raise awareness about the importance of financial education and the risks with investment opportunities. A series of tips will be shared weekly via CIMA's LinkedIn and Facebook social media platforms, along with related blog articles and other material. For more information, visit campaign.cima.ky. In international news, another 4 people have been sentenced to death in connection with the anti-government protests in Iran, bringing the total to 5 since Sunday. Revolutionary courts in Tehran found one of the unnamed defendants hit and killed a policeman with his car, the judiciary's Mazan news agency said. The second stabbed a security officer, and the third tried to block traffic and spread terror, it alleged. The fourth was convicted of a knife attack, Mazan reported late on Tuesday. Human rights activists condemned the death sentences, which can be appealed, saying they were the results of unfair trials.
Mariah Carey's application to trademark the moniker Queen of Christmas has been denied by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. The American star's application was denied after her company did not respond to another singer's opposition. The trademark would have given her the legal right to stop others from using the title on music and merchandise. The star has become synonymous with the festive period since the release of her 1994 track, All I Want for Christmas Is You. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Watering Place, Cayman Brac, on the 8th day of July 1936, Captain Fred Elman Scott was the 5th child born to Nalio and Vera Scott. Captain Scott enjoyed a fulfilling career at sea spanning more than 50 years. He was ahead of his time, employing his mathematical and computer skills to create payroll software, depth charts of Georgetown Harbor, and his pride and joy was his weather program that could detect when a storm formed anywhere in the world and was able to track and forecast its path. He had 6 children and was married for 52 years to Bernadette Silva, whom he met during his tenure in Brazil. In 1954, when Her late Majesty Queen Elizabeth II visited, Captain Scott had the distinct honor shaking the Queen's hand and piloting the Royal Yacht Britannia and anchored it in the Georgetown Harbor. Captain Scott was a humble man who liked his khaki suit and cap and loved to share his knowledge with those who crossed his path. He was honored at the National Heroes Day, acknowledging the seafaring heritage of these islands.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. And thanks for joining us as we invite you to be a part of the discussion. There's going to be some open line. 949-8037. 1-800-534-8255. Of course, you can WhatsApp 925-3261. And we appreciate not only those who call and share their thoughts, but those who have indicated that from time to time, they try calling, and of course, there's a little challenge we're getting through for some reason or the other. The technologically savvy individuals that we have around the place have said, hey, simple and effective solution at times is to just restart your phone. So if you're not sure how to do that, and you're like one of us, an adult parent, well, ask your small children. Yeah, they probably know. Try that and see if that works for you. All right, open line 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. WhatsApp 925-3261. Looking at the Pirates Fest schedule and encouraging us to continue to celebrate and participate and enjoy ourselves, of course, with family and friends in a very responsible way. We know that coming up, we have a lot of interesting things going on. The cassava cake and confetti competition at Coral Beach is on tonight, being sponsored by Coral Beach. That's at 6 to 8. And of course, on the Friday, we have that sort of welcome reception come up. We've got the turtle release, the 5K run, the food festival in 7 o'clock in the evening at the RBC and Kirk Freeport parking lots. We got a street dance and a block party. And on Saturday evening, we've got some wonderful things. So if you're able to, you want to look at it closer and be a part of it, check out the wonderful offerings that are online and be engaged, be involved, be informed, have lots of safe, enjoyable, family fun together. But what's on your mind? 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. And having had the day, what it has been thus far, and the week, we only a sort of midpoint, it would seem like for some of us, yet there's so much transpiring that we have to wonder, where are we in the calendar? Let's go to the phones. Welcome, good afternoon, thanks for calling.
Berlin.
How are you today?
I don't know how to ask you.
Well, my thought always is, if you are alive, if you are in a place where you can look around and see some good in all the bad that may exist, you're not in a bad space,
Yeah, well, the good thing about it, I can still look down at the grass, and the grass are looking up at me. So that's a good one. And then just open a can of worms and I'll leave you and tell me what you think about it. I want to find what the government's going to do with almost 300 of those Cuban refugees. What's going to happen to them, and what is the plan for getting them over to the United States or back to Cuba? So I'll leave that and let me hear what
Well, you can, but I can ask you, what would you advise them that they should do? Well, perhaps that question may be one that is, answered by somebody else. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. An issue in and of itself that is somewhat emotive. For some who would say, well, we are a seafaring nation, and if people are at sea for whatever reason, we render assistance. There are those who say for political, economic, and social reasons, there are justifications for doing this or that. But do you have a thought? And do we only, look at it in relation to this particular issue, or are there other things that we can employ that may be more helpful? Some have said over the time that this is something that should more directly transpire between the UK government in collaboration with the US government, since we're a dependency, not something that is on the initial appearance handled only by our local governance authorities, and to the exclusive cost of our own treasury. Now, you may have a different perspective, but the question, when it's a person, another life, can you consciously and in good faith close your eyes and deny help? What is it that is transpiring that causes the outcome that we see? And with that, there are probably not very many answers, not many easy answers, but is there the ethos to do the right thing? For some, even that is a moving target and subjective. But perhaps right is right and wrong is wrong. Perhaps not to some. 8949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp 925-3261. When we look at where we are, as the last caller in his initial salvo shared, in a day that he can be looking up at the grass and not having the grass look down on him. It's a day to give thanks. But is it also a day that we recognize that we can probably add value? To be reminded to find the good in all that we can, to be very deliberately, consciously, in a very considered, respectful manner, offer up ourselves to add value. Doesn't mean that it doesn't cost us something, whether it's money or time, which is probably the most precious of commodities. It's probably the one that is almost always taken for granted, even though we may have heard Man know not the hour another day, but yet it is appointed on to all of us to one day, face that hour. So what are we doing, while we're in this side of the equation? Well, for some of us is to make hay while the sun shines, and that is as much hay as we can get for ourselves, even as we're reminded that greediness choke puppy, as our parents and grandparents would have shared. But is it that we're offering up what we have from our time, our talent, our treasure, as Miss Marlene would remind us, so that we give in to others in a loving, helpful way? Maybe not. For some, it isn't that the greatest exercise of power is restraint. It is that they have the goal, therefore they make the rule. Well, what is your ethos? Let me hear from you. 949-8037 or 949-6990, or likewise toll free with the compliments of Flow, 1-800-534-8255, 1-800-534-8255. And I trust that it wasn't something we heard or heard about, that we actually consciously looked at and looked at again, and hopefully it won't be something that will quickly pass into oblivion. And if he and his family will not mind me referring to it over and often, Chad Anthony Powell Jr., his presentation as part of the UK Youth Parliament in the House of Commons, an impassioned plea. Yes, he may have had a prepared script, but he spoke from his heart, in a sense of consciousness, and in a sense of, from my perception, honesty, integrity, love, humility, and respect. Not to embarrass a nation, but to speak to something that many of our young people have shared only if we were listening as their coaches and parents, mentors and educators, listening sometimes, just on the bylines as they talk amongst themselves, as we ferry them back and forth between their sporting activities or their social engagements. They're in the backseat of our cars. Are we listening? Are we willing to draw alongside and help them? I've reminded, and I have said it consciously, and not appreciating sometimes that it is ignored by some, but thankfully heard by others, that for years now I've shared that our young people, not unlike what has happened in other jurisdictions, some may have said may have happened to a limited extent, to our own society in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, where they have suffered what we have termed a brain drain, because the people who are from a land no longer see a future for them in that land, so they leave and they travel elsewhere. Not because they believe the grass is greener, but because they believe they have a better chance of survival. And if our young people, as I have said for a decade plus now, they're in that same boat where no longer they see employment opportunities, career advancement, but the inability to own a physical piece of the soil. And for some, they can't even rent a decent, safe space. And yet, some have shared that they're being openly encouraged to leave by teachers, by adults that are impactful in their lives. Now, that's not how we build a healthy nation. And yet, Mr. Powell Jr. highlighted that that's a very, very serious issue. Now, we're seeing the increase in crime, the robberies, however we term them, against people in their homes and businesses, people who are, just outside somewhere on the streets. Now, these are not activities that should be accepted in any society. But are we willing to ignore it? Or do we consider how we respond to it? Or do we believe it's something for the government alone or the policing authority? Or is it something for us? And is it that we are willing to only pay lip service to it? Or are we prepared to say to the police, here's everything you need and you can go out in a heavy-handed way? Well, perhaps it is for all of us to not just through prayer, but action. Come together, not just through the formation of Neighborhood Crime Watch, not just through a march or some sort of petition or protest, but through a concerted effort to acknowledge and address what is transpiring. If it's because of someone who said, times are hard and people will steal. Well, I believe that for many of us, our parents and their parents had it harder than we'll ever have. But did they steal? There are many nations where they don't have the standard of living. They don't have the life expectancy. They have it hard. There's no food, shelter, or clothing. The things that we say are the basic needs, and some will say they're the essential needs. And they don't have the level of crime. And they have more people. So what's the excuse and the justification for what is transpiring here? Do we know that something is happening, but because we're fearful for our own safety, we don't trust whatever the process is to get involved? Or because if we share, it's going to cause someone close to us to be negatively impacted? They're going to be held accountable for what they did. Well, if we turn a blind eye, then surely we can expect that the consequence isn't going to be positive. What do we do? And sometimes that thing which we do means that we step up and stand in the gap. That thing that we do means that we look ourselves in the mirror and say, you're part of the problem. That thing we do may mean that the person from whom we've elected or appointed or entrusted with something really has done a great disservice, either by action or inaction. But what do we do? What are we not doing? Let me hear from you. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, the Flow toll-free line. If you can and want to use that, or you can WhatsApp 925-3261 and share your thoughts. We're open often to castigating someone because she said something. Or we would say, well, who does she think she is? Who, does he think he is? Irrespective of what we may perceive to be the motive or what we may know. But if the truth is told, is it not better that it's ventilated than we are consciously willing to ignore the obvious? Well, maybe you need an opportunity to accept the invitation to take me onto task for my thoughts, and I share that with the understanding that a few of the individuals earlier in the week have asked, how can we as a society very actively and immediately look at what is happening, not just in the world, not just in the region, but in our own land, and be comfortable with the negative changes that are happening, that people are still willing to say, well, Cayman is relatively safe. As an elderly lady said to me on Tuesday, which, for some of us was only yesterday, but for the way your lives are, it may have been last year, the way things, feel sometimes. She said yesterday, there was a time when we would have consciously shared that Cayman was crime-free. And now we say, well, relative to the places, it's safe. Well, only safe for that person who has not been made to feel unsafe because they've come home, find someone still in their house, uninvited and threatening, or that they have come to work only to find that their co-worker has had a mishap, to put it kindly. Let's take the call. Hey, welcome, good afternoon, thank you for calling.
Good afternoon to you, Sterling Green.
And to you, sir. I'm glad to hear from you.
Little of the show there.
Yes, sir.
My opinion on this was we've seen a rise in crime and a rise in robberies and like armed robberies every day now.
Mm-hmm.
And this was unheard of in Cayman not too long ago. We've seen a liberal attitude, I'll put it that way, I'm not going to back off on those words. And we've seen it coming across the world. And we've seen it here in Cayman, without ignoring the signs of things. atrocious, loud, pounding music at all times. Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, I did hear it too.
Yes, and no one will do anything about it. The police seem to be not able to do anything with that. Early morning, Sundays, anytime, pounding, booming, beating drums and really bass and so forth. Not really music.
Noise, huh?
And that wasn't here just a few years ago. It's no use anyone saying that it was. It was not. Not like this. And we've seen this attitude, where human rights, as I warned when we put that into the Constitution, I knew it had to come. But we have to decide whose rights are more important, the victims or the perpetrators. It seems as if we are allowing the perpetrators and giving all the rights to the criminals, what they are. You pull a gun and shoot at someone, whether you didn't kill them or not. As far as I'm concerned, you intended to kill them. Good. You slit someone's throat and they didn't die. You intended to kill them. So it's just as serious as if you had. That's the way I look at things. And therefore, the punishment, of course, as we know, many guys go out on offer and come out and go back and go again and again and again and again. It is $1,000 a year, and they call it Her Majesty's. Well, it will now be His Majesty's Hotel. I've heard that. You've heard it too, I'm sure, that whether you want to admit it or not. But the point is, are we willing to agree and say something must be done? And if it's serious and harsh, some must suffer. No way can you get ahead in life or get ahead with running a country if there is not some price to pay. And the price to pay will have to be that we will have to have a serious clampdown on these things. It's got to be serious.
How would you
And we have to agree and say, this is how it's gonna be. You're gonna have to pay for your crimes. You talk about countries that have, many countries have capital punishment, and another thing that no one wants to speak of, corporal punishment. We often quote Singapore as relatively free as a city that's country that's progressing and very crime-free. We know that. But they have corporal punishment and capital punishment. You know what corporal punishment is, don't you? Good.
But I want to hear from you because I want to also ask and
we had that in the West Indies, but we took it away some 50 years ago. And believe me, violent crime is much more prevalent now in those countries. People just have to admit the truth and say when they had corporal punishment, it was much less serious crime. There's not that much more in population. It's just that. Here it is, population. We know that quadrupled and quintupled.
So in addition then to the corporal punishment, the capital punishment, what else would you suggest?
We're not going to get that because it would have to be changed by the British government. And I hope we don't move away from our status as a crown territory, colony, whatever you want to call it. I hope we don't try to move away from it.
But what else could we do or suggest that we'll consider that might help to perhaps reel in the crime, bring us back to that space that we think is safer?
Well, we've got 140 nationalities here. We've got many things have changed. Our population has quadrupled and all that. So we have no country to use as an example. And like I said, we have this liberal attitude. To think that we're going to solve it with a liberal outlook. I don't think so. So
let me then ask, given what you shared with respect to the the number of nationalities, the cultural influences, the liberal attitude of many of us, both from our own upbringing and experience, perhaps our own sort of influence.
Complete change in the last 40 odd years. A complete turnaround.
Right. So Singapore probably, and I'm only saying probably has a more from its enforcement and its employment relative to the government sector, more homogenous population, people who subscribe to their cultural ethos, who brought in, irrespective of its sort of political label, it may have that thing. Do you think that in the absence of that in Cayman, where we have educators from everywhere, we have authorities, people in authority from everywhere, that we're lacking that similar ethos, that shared ethos with respect to how we do it? For instance, let's say in our education system we have a teacher from home, maybe because of age, maybe because of training. That teacher's approach is, speak to the child this way. The colleague's approach is speak to the child a very, different way.
I understand what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Yes, that has an influence. We've got to think of the great, most important influence over the last 30 years has been television and what they listen to, music, and what they see. And especially now with the cell phones, that is the greatest impact of all. That has it's no use getting away from it. It's a huge influence. And to me, it's going the wrong way. But that depends on parents saying, listen, when you reach the age of 16 or so, then you can have a cell phone for your own use or whatever. And but to me, I'm old-fashioned in those things. I'm not going to move from what I said. I'm not going to change like that. Who wants to change? That's their problem. Their prerogative. But what I'm saying is that we've got to come up that this cannot continue. We must come to the decision that we have to move away from this total liberal outlook and think everybody should be able to do what they want to do and we can live. It does not happen that way. I've got to go.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you for listening to me.
Well, I know you're busy, and thank you.
Has another opinion.
Yes, sir, for sharing your opinion. Have a wonderful afternoon, sir. All right. Hey, 949-8037, 1-800-534-TALK. That's 1-800-534-8255. You use that to call us. You use that to call Mr. Art. Come Friday morning again for the record. But you can do it again, any Monday, Wednesday, Friday when he's there. Let's pause. Let's take a break. Join us after.
This Friday, November the 18th, the Pirates festivities continue with the turtle release at Governor's Beach at 10 a.m. and the Pirates Fest 5K run walk from Seafarers starting at 5:30 p.m. As part of the Heritage Day series brought to you by the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture, and Heritage. Take in the Georgetown from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Cardinal Avenue. Celebrate your Georgetown heritage, local food, performances, and more. Friday, November the 18th from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Cardinal Avenue.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
Did you know that ValueMed Pharmacy has a free online prescription service? Managing your health and medical requirements has never been easier with ValueMed. Simply visit value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com and click the Refill Prescriptions tab on our website. Fill in the information for new prescriptions or refills and choose your preferred pickup location. ValueMed on Walkers Road or Boddentown. Then bring in your original prescription from your doctor when picking up. There's no need to stand in line and wait for your prescription. Save time and pick up prescriptions at your convenience by visiting value-medpharmacy.com. That's VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Can you imagine your home completely organized? At Brand Source Custom Closets, we can. We specialize in designing and building custom closets and storage units for any room in your home, including the garage. With tailored designs and custom LED lighting solutions to fit your lifestyle and budget. Our custom closets expert is committed to enhancing the value of your home with a solution that is uniquely yours. Visit our showroom or call 623-6774 to schedule a no-obligation appointment with our design expert. Brand Source Custom Closets, 209 Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park.
At Doctors Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctors Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. I think I had to be reminded that today's Wednesday. Is it? It's still November? Okay, it's still 2022. All right, there we go. See, that's a start. All right, some open line. Let's go to the phones. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Sterling. It's Johan Moxham. How's it going?
Hey, Mr. Johan Moxham, how are you?
I'm all right, sir. Just listening into the show and thought I'd offer a couple of observations and suggestions.
Thank you, sir. Is it okay if I take notes?
No. Last time you and I got in a conversation, apparently I offended many people at the top of the pyramid on the 5th floor. So I tried to behave myself today and just kind of,
Sorry. Is that different from the time before?
Well, no, they really took it to heart. They really took it to heart this time. And so, when I get an invite back into the studio, I'll go live and direct and give you the blow for blow, because it was quite amusing to say the least. Apparently, it's okay when you speak the truth about everybody else. You just can't speak the truth about certain situations or persons in certain positions. But that's, I think, part of the definition of K-mankind, The interesting thing is always be aware of who you cannot, who you shouldn't offend, because those are the ones that apparently deem themselves to be your rulers, and truth and objectivity goes out the window at that stage. But I say all that to say this. We're dealing with crime, right? Or the rapid increase in violent crime in Cayman. And the concern I think we should all have as citizens of this incredible country is what represents a zero-tolerance sort of policy or position when it comes to crime. Because I'll say this, unfortunately, and this is probably the way the world always works, if some of these instances of violent crime and gun crime and stick-ups were happening in certain neighborhoods, we would shut this place down, and there would really be a full demonstration of what zero tolerance looks like. However, it feels as if, as long as the crime is restricted to certain areas, certain neighborhoods, then it's just an unfortunate thing, and we got to develop a national strategy. And my point would be, because I'm always on this, why can't we have the same sense of urgency for any level of criminality and gun crime in Cayman, whether you are from the Diggins or whether you come from, the posh neighborhoods, the gated communities and the parts of Cayman that we see on the brochures. And for me, that is where I scratch my head and I ask the question, why hasn't there been a full sort of national sort of rollout of, we've seen an escalation in violent crime, we've seen an escalation in stick-ups and robberies involving guns, and here's what we, the security apparatus, are doing to address that. All I'm asking is, if you got a job to do your job. Because I'm telling you this, every time I jump on the radio, every time I speak, there's a, let's check his accounts, let's see what he's up to, let's see, how we can figure out something. And I'm a law-abiding citizen. I just know what I know, and I speak my truth as I see it. But if you can spend the energy to investigate persons who present a view or perspective on issues that offends and embarrasses people, surely the security apparatus of this country must be desperate to get a grip on all of the escalation in violent crime and gun crime. And I'll just say this, whether it's somebody down at Clem's on Mary Street that got robbed or Shedden Road, that person's experience is as traumatic as the person who gets robbed on the 7 Mile Strip or in any sort of nice neighborhood in the Cayman Islands, right? And for me, that's where I worry, because we know that Cayman is a segregated society, or becoming increasingly segregated, but the system should work for all. There should be one standard that's applicable to all of us, and justice and protection of citizens in an island this small must be something that we do. And I think you can go about that by, one, if we know that there are individuals in the Cayman Islands here on a work permit but that are not gainfully employed, you find out who their employers are and you fine them. You find them a significant amount of money to show them that if you don't have jobs for people, they should not be here in the country. Basically, if their intent is evil and they're professionals and able to participate in criminal activity. That's the first thing, because a lot of that happens in Cayman. Two, second point that I would make, there's no secret in the Cayman Islands. If you cheating on your wife or your wife cheating on you, somebody knows something somewhere. Everybody knows where you can buy numbers. Everybody knows where you can buy drugs. Everybody knows where there's illegal activity in this country. How the police don't know? That's a serious question. Because we have enough resources, they have enough budget, they have enough manpower that I think you should be kicking open people's doors every hour on the hour to show it's not going to get out of hand here in Cayman. Do we have competent police? 100% we do. There's some quality police officers in the force. Are there some people that should never have been police officers? Of course, we're seeing that. We're seeing an increased sort of suspensions and people using their positions to abuse and take advantage of the system. However, it would appear to me that there is no respect or fear for law enforcement in this country. And all I'm saying is, what's the point in having helicopters, access to marine units, fully armed response units, and nobody is knocking on the doors of the hotbed of criminal activity in Cayman? I don't leave my house and I can tell you where I can go buy crack if I was a crack addict. I can tell you where to go buy something illegal if I needed to go do it. And I'm just a guy I'm just a regular guy. How in the hell do the police not know? Because you don't need to get everybody, but you need to rope in some of the big fish, and from there let the people who are involved in criminal activity understand, okay, yeah, Cayman is not really a soft place for us anymore. These guys take their responsibility serious, so on and so forth. I'm effectively requesting, it's a plea to the security forces. Guys, if you don't know what is going on in the country, why don't you ask some locals that can actually tell you? Okay? Because it makes no sense in having the budget and all the tools and all the equipment, but the madness still goes on. Every Sunday, I'll give you an example. Every Sunday, and I have nothing against anybody that wants to ride their motorcycle. Every Sunday between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock along by Campbell's Bar Cam gas station, you're going to see some people on bikes without license, without lights, without whatever. How come every Sunday that you can drive that, you can see that, but every Sunday you don't see a police car there yet? This is some basic stuff. But what will happen is there's going to be an unfortunate incident, and I'm not equating riding a motorcycle to violent crime that is going on in the country. It's an example of how the police don't know. They got speed cameras. They got CCTV cameras. They got everything under the sun. How don't you know? And if you're not able to do the job, let's trade in the people that are not doing their job for a set that want to do the job better. Because once you lose your hold on safety and security issues in the Cayman Islands, that then impacts every other facet of life. Because the reason why people love here, come here, and are happy to have their families here, it's relatively safe. But now we're seeing that there's certain areas that are being targeted. Should there not be a heavy police presence every hour on the hour?
As I'm listening to you, Johan, a caller is having an exchange. I think it's in reference to your earlier comment relative to, the crime in certain areas and the like. And I think I answered it in the affirmative, but perhaps I can pose a question and you can either clarify it for us or help us to get, in the right direction. And ask if there is a law that says if a particular criminal act, is committed in the 7 Mile Beach area, the tourist area, that attracts a higher sanction than the same act committed in another area. The previous administration or the one prior had passed that. Is that your understanding?
I know it was proposed. I'm not sure if it was passed into law, but I know the proposal was there.
Okay.
But my point is, so you're telling me if you live on the 7 Mile Strip, you are more important than me that lives in Savannah?
Or me that lives in East End or West Bay or elsewhere?
Or wherever. All I'm saying is, we want to eradicate and set an example to the hardened criminals, because Cayman is importing a set of people that really and truly see this as fresh green grass and they can buzz through. Securing the borders is important, but if you are, I'm just going to use this as an example, you need a visa from Jamaica, Honduras, and everywhere else to get into the country. If criminals from those countries are here, and just for the record, I am fully aware that Cayman has its own homegrown criminals, and that comes from a lot of youth without direction and proper parenting and children that don't have positive male role models. I get all of that. But what I'm saying is, I can live with homegrown criminality because we know who they are, we know where they come from, we know the connectivity. What I can't stomach is, we gave a work permit, there's a process you've got to go through. It's really easy for people to come into Cayman, and in truth be told, that shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't be the case. So that means multiple levels of law enforcement are perhaps not as stringent as they should be, and there's a time, and the time is now for us to crack down on everything and everybody. I'm not a police officer, I'm not an operational person, but I'm a patriotic Caymanian that does not want to live in fear in my own country. And if there is anybody here that we know is on a, joint intelligence report of being a bad guy, scoop them up, send them home. Second thing, Cuban nationals. Why can't we turn them around pretty quickly and say, this is not a place, we can't accommodate it. One, we can't afford it, and we're going to be overrun with that situation. Why can't we just say to the Cuban government, we know these individuals have come from Cuba. It is your responsibility to identify your Cuban nationals. We will help take them to Havana for you, and then that's a Cuban problem. We cannot afford to continue to use resources on foreign nationals and criminals when we've got escalating domestic local issues. That's not being discriminatory, that's just understanding that you can't fix everything. So anything that isn't Caymanian, home and grown, we need to ship that off. Thank you, but no thank you. Persona non grata. Goodbye.
Well, that sounds like the will, the decisiveness, the sense of, and I'll read into what someone is sharing, the consciousness as to how you maintain a stable society. But if that's the recipe for it, what's lacking to bring that about?
Well, let's just be clear. I don't think there's any elected official responsible for law enforcement and the security security protocols in the Cayman Islands. That's at a higher power. And all I'm saying is, this is no time to play cute. This is a time to be united on the objective of the Cayman Islands will not tolerate these heinous crimes and acts of criminality any longer, and we will demonstrate full force by being united in eradicating, investigating, charging, and convicting persons who participate in this level of activity. We do that because, one, we want to live in a safe country. Every time you hear, and can you imagine if they'd gone into a hotel and robbed the hotel? Can you imagine if they'd come into your house or my house or Mary's house or John's house? We matter. If it came Caymanian quality of life doesn't matter here, what's the point? Crime is bad all over. That's all I'm saying. And I'm sick and tired of the narrative that, you know, we can't afford for it to happen on this stretch, or we can't afford for it to happen over there. We can't afford for it to happen, period. Because it's the same sliding scale of accountability that we use in various other parts of our governance model to determine who should be held accountable and who shouldn't. And that's the one thing that I've been consistent about for years. Whatever the standard is, it got applied to everybody. But if a Caymanian can't feel safe in the Cayman Islands because we're worried about not offending Cuban nationals or Jamaican nationals or Honduran nationals or any other criminal-minded person that is here on the island, you need to go. I'll give you this other one. You can go into bars on the 7 Mile Strip. You can buy any drug possible. Any drug possible. Have you ever heard of any of those bars being raided or the bartenders being arrested?
Can I ask, because that is
No, it's a question. Answer the question. Have you heard of it?
No.
But it happens.
Right.
But like I'm saying, local joints get raided all the time.
Right.
All I'm saying is the people with disposable income not going into Arches to buy whatever they're going to buy or anywhere else.
Yeah, but the reason why I want to ask this question is that, if you can call it that allegation, you know, it's been alleged, as you shared, that is commonplace in all the bars, specifically in certain areas, right? And yet, it's almost commonplace, and it seems to be not just acknowledged by many, but accepted. Not to be rhetorical, but why is that? Why is it that?
Listen to me. Okay, man, there's a caste system, and there's classes amongst classes or winning classes. And if you look a particular way, and if you sound a particular way, and if you drive this, then apparently you're all right. If you got your hair plaited up, if you wear a hoodie, apparently there's a preconception or some sort of programming that you're probably up to no good. All I'm saying is take everybody for what they are, but we cannot ignore one level of criminality whilst we then go down and pursue something else. Everybody here knows who and how guns get into this country. Everybody knows. Is there corruption within the uniform branches? Yes. In a word, yes. Okay? We know who the kingpins and the big shots are. Time to pull them up. Because if Johan Moxham and Sterling EBANKS were involved in any criminality, we would be on the front page. That's just the way it is. So again, it's back to the point of whatever the standard is, it has to apply to us all. None of us should have to worry about, geez, or maybe I shouldn't go to Foster's at 10 o'clock at night to get milk because they might rob Foster's or somebody might rob you in the parking lot. Nobody with any sense in the Cayman Islands wants to live like that. But that's the road that we're walking on. You know why? Things are out of control, and it's only going to get worse until we see a forceful demonstration of a zero-tolerance policy on the serious, heavy, gun-related crimes in the Cayman Islands. All I'm asking is if you've got a job, do your job. If you've got a responsibility, take the responsibility serious. And if you can't do that, go home. Let's find somebody else to do it.
Wow. You know, it is perhaps, as you shared, something that may cause some people to give it much more considered thought. Any quick other points you wish to make, Mr. Johan?
No, just you know, you were talking about crime and all the rest of it. I think there's nothing in this island that we cannot solve. We are small enough. We are agile enough. There are no secrets here in Cayman. Okay, none. If you want to address something, you can. If politically the will is there, you can. The money obviously is always budgeted for crime prevention and everything else. So it's not a question of funding per se. We just got to have... Let me ask you something. If you're a police officer and you know that down at John Smith House they hang out there, they sell drugs, and they got guns. Would you be the police officer to go, yeah, let's go knock on that door and check that out? Probably not, right? So let's go and send the guys that are trained, that have the equipment, every hour on the hour. We're going to be back again in an hour. Until they get the picture, we're not going nowhere. And if you are a foreign national and you are caught here illegally, if you have a work permit but you have no work, or if you are working the system, you have to hold the employer accountable, you have to hold that individual accountable, and then you need to put them on the first flight out of here. Because we are incorporating and importing a lot of things and people that probably don't mean the jurisdiction any good. I haven't offended anybody on this call. I've made some very general and generic statements on what I think is possible, because there are no secrets in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah. Mr. Moxham, I do recognize you've been on. I just want to ensure
no one, go on.
We have a listener who, and I want to make sure that I understood when you said that it would. Again, let me present you what I thought you said, share with you what a listener is sharing, and have you clarify if we're off. I think you shared that it seems to be a willingness by the society and by the policing mechanism apparatus to turn a blind eye to the bars in upscale areas like 7 Mile Beach that allegedly you can go and get any drug, legal or otherwise, but the local bars, are constantly being raided because that's where, the hoodlums hang out. And so why are we not enforcing across the board? Is that sort of what you were sharing?
Yeah, that's exactly what I think, because that's exactly what happened.
All right, so a listener says, hey, don't generalize with the bar. I'm paraphrasing, don't generalize with the bars because, the local bars, and name a few, they don't sell drugs in your out of order. But I don't think that's what you were sharing. You were saying
that person can call in and voice their own opinion. I wasn't generalizing, and if he's offended, good luck to them. The world will keep spinning. The point is, there is a double standard where you have law-abiding bars. I didn't say every local bar was full of criminal activity, so that person really doesn't get it and doesn't want to get it. The point is, if the nice spots don't, who have active participants in illegal activity don't or are not subjected to the same sort of rigorous sort of shakedowns and pull downs, it should apply to everybody across the board. That's my point. And if the person didn't get it, call in and make your own point. Be a man or woman and be brave. That's what I've done.
Yeah, well, thank you. And like I said, I thought your reference was enforce it across the board, and don't ignore or emphasize one area because we class it as such and ignore the obvious things because that's where we see certain elements. So, well, thanks very much, Mr. Moxham.
Take care, boss. All the best.
All the best here. This listener, as we go to the phone, says, and I heard Mr. Moxham's point about political will. However, political will frequently clashes with administrative, quote-unquote, won't. For instance, our judges in the court system may stop the tourists on a risk for tourists, and then the 10-year sentences for the locals. And this is in relation to, as we know, issues surrounding a bullet or a gun or the like. Well, interestingly, I believe we can take another call, my friend, as I take the direction from those who control, the panel. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
Not bad, sir. And yourself?
Oh, excellent. Very, very thankful.
I'm doing, my name is Peter Thompson. I made a promise that I wasn't calling with talk shows anymore because nothing ever happens.
Mm-hmm.
When I listened to Mr. Moxham just now, I had to swallow my words and take it back because he is 1,000% right. And people like us that can see what is happening in this country, and the majority of people are turning a blind eye, and we are going to hell in a bigger straw basket, and nobody wants to address these issues. We got certain nationalities in this country right now we need to get rid of that is coming. Like we will that we have never seen in the history of this country, and it needs to be addressed. You look around where some of these people are living, how they are living. Their intentions is to get this country looking just like how their country is. So I need Mr. Panton to address these issues and take it seriously and deal with them before it gets any worse, because it is getting worse day in and day out, and they need to be addressed. And I want to thank Mr. Moxham. I was wondering when somebody like anybody at all would have the gall to come on and feel the way he feels about what is happening in this country. But I just want to say to you, Mr. Moxham, I support you 100% because I feel the same way you feel, and I see the same things you see, and I experience the same things you see in this country. So they need to stop. And if you need somebody to fight with you, don't hesitate. I'm here. Thank you very much, Wayne. Have a good day.
On to you, sir. Thank you very much. Mr. Director, where are we going now? The phones or the break? All right, we're going to pause. We do have a team member from the Family Resource Center that we were expecting to join us in studio, but given to work commitments, we'll take that discussion via the phone when we return. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
You know, Savannah Pharmacy saved my life.
Really? Was it the medication they got you?
No, not this time. I forgot my wife's birthday. They were the perfect place for last-minute shopping.
That's one way to give yourself heart failure. Don't wait last minute for Christmas. Savannah Pharmacy is stocked up for Christmas right now. Gifts for men, women, and children. Home decor, clothes, toys for all ages, fragrances, candles, handbags, and so much more. I was there the other day, and trust me, they'll even wrap all your presents too.
Savannah Pharmacy, a lifesaver in more ways than one.
Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village provides you with more than just prescriptions. Always just around the corner with everything your family needs for this holiday season. WhatsApp your prescription refills to 929-5045.
Subway makes it easy for you to stay on top of your health and wellness goals with our Fresh Fit menu options. Choose from 5 Fresh Fit Subway sandwiches with only 450 calories or less per 6-inch sub. Turkey breast, veggie, oven-roasted chicken, Black Forest ham, sweet onion chicken teriyaki, or make your 6-inch Fresh Fit sub into a salad or wrap prepared with fresh vegetables. For a full menu and nutritional information, visit subway.ky. Subway, eat fresh.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brack to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins. On Saturday, November 19th, the Family Resource Center will be joining countries around the world to mark the 11th annual International Men's Day celebrations in the Cayman Islands. International Men's Day commemorates the positive contributions men make to the world, their families, and communities, while highlighting men's and boys' well-being. For more information on FRC programs and services, IMD activities, or to register, contact info@frc.ky or call 949-0006. In international news, there have been at least 10 potential threats by Iran to kidnap or kill British or UK-based people this year. The figure was revealed by the head of MI5, Ken McCallum, in his annual update on threats facing the UK. Mr. McCallum also warned the UK must be ready for Russian aggression for years to come. But he said Russia had suffered a strategic setback after a mass expulsion of its spies around the world in the wake of its invasion of Ukraine. Oscar-winning actor Kevin Spacey is to be charged with a further 7 sexual offenses against one man, the Crown Prosecution Service has said. They include 3 counts of indecent assault, 3 of sexual assault, and 1 of causing a person to engage in sexual activity without consent. The offenses are alleged to have taken place between 2001 and 2004. The CPS said these new charges follow a review of evidence gathered by London's Metropolitan Police. These are your headlines. I'm Felicia Rankin-Zollins.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
This Friday, November 18th, the Pirates festivities continue with the turtle release at Governor's Beach at 10 a.m. and the Pirates Fest 5K run walk from Seafarers starting at 5:30 p.m. As part of the Heritage Day series brought to you by the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Culture and Heritage. Take in the Georgetown from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Cardinal Avenue. Celebrate your Georgetown heritage, local food, performances and more. Friday, November 18th from 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. on Cardinal Avenue.
Ahoy, mateys! Enjoy a jolly day out with the whole family at Cayman Turtle Center's Pirates Fest Family Fun Day on Sunday the 20th of November. Explore the wildlife, ride the water slide, splash in the lagoon, hunt for treasure and enjoy activities for the whole family. The fun takes place from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Costumes are encouraged and kids 12 and under in costume get free admission. Don't miss all the pirate festivities at Cayman Turtle Center on Sunday, November 20th. Harg!
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecast, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And I believe if we have it correct, let's make sure. We're expecting a discussion in relation to International Men's Day from our good friends and colleagues over at the Family Resource Center. Let's see if our phones connect and the strings are at either end of the cups. Hey, good afternoon and welcome.
Afternoon, Mr. EBANKS. This is Kenzie here from the Family Resource Center.
Good afternoon, Ms. Kenzie. How are you today?
I'm doing very well. I'm very excited to be joining you to talk about our upcoming events that we are witnessing for our International Men's Day campaign that we're having this month.
Right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and let us publicly say that we initially were expecting some of you and colleagues to be in the studio, and we know that through all the other programming that you have on today, and the commitments and the staffing that didn't transpire, but we're glad to be able to welcome you, remotely, and apologize for not having to take you earlier, but did not realize you were not in studio. So let's get to it and let's hear what you have to share with us.
Okay, wonderful. So yes, I'm happy to be able to call in and join you, and my apologies for not making it there today.
That's quite fine. We're glad to have the opportunity to facilitate, and hopefully in the future we'll have you and your colleagues around the table.
Yes, most definitely. So we are observing our International Men's Day campaign, which is the official day is on November 19th. And we're having many, many events throughout the month. And I'm just here to share with the general public what we are doing in order to honor men. So basically the purpose of our International Men's Day is to recognize the achievements and contributions of men within the community, family, within marriage, within society as a whole, right? However, we also wish to promote basic awareness towards issues that men are facing here within the Cayman Islands. So our first thing that's going to be coming up is tomorrow, which is going to be our Therapeutic Thursdays, and this is going to be hosted by TCC. So we are a Family Resource Center, but the Counseling Center, which also falls within the Department of Counseling Services, will be talking about men's self-care and why men avoid self-care. Maybe this is something that is built into our culture or something they haven't typically done before, but it talks about the importance of men looking after themselves, because men wish to look after their families, their friends, and so forth, but we really want to encourage them to take a moment to also make sure that they are doing well and they are caring for themselves. We have our Dress for a Cause Day coming up, so this is going to be on Friday, so this is very, very quickly approaching.
Yeah.
And we are selling T-shirts, and all of the funds which we raise, the T-shirts are $25 each. They will go towards our programming for our men and boys. We are launching a new program in 2023, which we are very, very excited about. It's called A Young Man's Guide to Self-Mastery, and it speaks to what healthy relationships look like, communication skills, giving them a better understanding of their emotions. So it is a trauma-informed program that we will be launching next year, and it's just to increase boys on island between the ages of 13 to 16, increase their awareness of their own emotions and their own struggles and how it's past their journey to where they are now, and how they can grow and they can break, multi-generational cycles which may be occurring, it's difficult, but it's very much so possible, especially with the right help. So I'm very, very excited to speak about that, and all the donations and funds which we receive through this campaign will go towards supporting that next year. If any listeners are interested in the Young Man's Guide to Self-Mastery, we highly encourage you to reach out to us at frc@gov.ky, and we can send you a little bit more information. So T-shirts are coming up. Please get your T-shirts if you are interested, listeners, as we will be wearing our T-shirts on November 18th. If you don't get it by this date, that's no problem. You can still stop by FRC. We're in Apollo House West on the second floor, and you can wear the T-shirt throughout the month, throughout the year, just to show that you stand in solitude with the contributions that men, bring to the Cayman Islands, as well as noting the struggles that they also face. And we also, Mr. EBANKS, have a very exciting event coming up. I did hear it in your news broadcast, but we are having a six-a-side football. And this is going to be this Saturday. It is completely free, and it's happening at 9 a.m. in Prospect in the SIFA Stadium. So the purpose of this is to, have fun, bring in what is going to be the World Cup, I believe it's called.
You believe it's called, huh?
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm not a football follower.
We gather that.
It will be my first time watching it.
We'll forgive you this time.
Is that what it's called, the World Cup?
The only sport in the world where the actual world participates,
Okay.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, so now I got it. And the purpose of it is just to have fun in a competitive way and to see both men and boys engaging with each other in a positive and a healthy way. So the teams, it needs to have a boy who is 16 years old or under. And if you don't have a team, listeners, and you still want to come and play, because we have some great prizes, some really great prizes, Mr. Eubanks, we will make a team for you on that day. So 9 a.m., that's going to be one of our biggest events that we're going to have, and we're very much so looking forward to it. Other things that we're going to have, we have a month jam-packed. We've already done so much already as well, is we're going to have a family skills session. This is something that the Family Resource Center does every single Tuesday on the last week of the month, whereby we provide a family skill building session. And this one we're going to be talking about raising resilient boys. So This is something that we hold near and dear to our hearts, and it's basically a psychoeducational presentation and also an interactive workshop where parents can ask questions, and we can also make sure that boys are receiving the love and support they need in order to grow into successful men, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that is happening on November 22nd, and that will be on Zoom. And if you would like any information on that, listeners, that'll be posted as well on our website, as well as our social medias and so forth. And then we have one of our biggest events that we're going to be having as well is we're going to be having a forum. So this is something we haven't done before for International Men's Day, and this is our first time, and we're very excited to be rolling it out. And this is going to be at, I believe it'll be at the Marriott, but I need to double check with that. And we're going to be celebrating man's masculinity. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about, the issues that boys and men face within the Cayman Islands, which a big one is the raising unemployment rate of men within Cayman. We definitely want to speak to that, and we've coined it a silent crisis. So we want to bring awareness to that, as well as leading by example, the power of mentorship. Mentorship is so important, as we can see the success that Boys to Men has had, for example. How they've been able to really support and mentor these boys, and they've done very, very well from it. So we want to speak about, how individuals can also get involved in mentoring young boys as they grow, right? So those are the biggest things that we have coming up. However, we have our calendar of events, which lists many other things that can also be found on our website and on our social medias as well. So, but I really just wanted to come on and speak about the work that we are doing and the importance of this international campaign, and how other people can come out and support and also celebrate men, because so many times individuals may overlook men struggle as well as their achievements. However, we firmly believe at the Family Resource Center that we must celebrate both the successes and the contributions, but we also must take note of the crisis and the silent crisis that men may be facing within the Cayman Islands.
And it's interesting that you share that, because I think sometimes we don't see, perhaps as you shared, the silent struggles that since we're talking about on International Men's Day, men may have the mixed messages that they may be getting in this particular time in human history, from home as well as from the media, and how is it and what is it, to be a man in this world? What does that mean? Now, as you talk about, raising our resilience and getting them to appreciate, are there little things that we can do now to understand that the strength is in seeking support, drawing alongside, in acknowledging the importance of as much contributing and protecting and providing as it is to be the recipient of help and the like?
Most definitely, and I'm so glad that you brought that up. Within our culture and Caribbean culture and international culture as well, men are seen as the providers. However, we have to realize that, boys, just as much as young girls, need just as much love, just as much support, just words of encouragement. And sometimes we say, don't cry, or stop acting like a girl, or boys don't cry. But when we do that, then as boys grow to be men, they haven't learned how to deal with these big emotions yet. They haven't learned how to speak through their emotions. So when they are faced with these large emotions, they haven't had the opportunity to present them within a positive manner, right? They've learned maybe it may be aggression, or it may be not telling anybody, and let these problems pile up and pile up and pile up until they find that they feel quite alone. And it's something that is very much so international. Boys don't cry, don't act like a little girl. However, we want to bring an end to that and say, boys need to be able to learn how to express these emotions and express these feelings, so they can do so in a positive way that's going to keep their problems small and not lead to further problems down the line.
As I listen to, if I may ask two things. What about the instance where, again, the young male, whether he's on a sports team or, whether he's in his formative years, and I say that understanding what that means, but let me specific young adult male specifically, still very impressionable. legally considered to be a man, but still, developing and trying to find his way. And I'll use it loosely, the role models for him. Here's a guy who has had his own share of problems, but is now celebrated by society because of who he is, and he is somehow, be able to act with impunity. So this young male seeing this man who's now in a position and acting as if he's, an example. How does that young male see this person, see what seemingly is a celebrated success despite the acts that have been committed by this person, to which society has turned a blind eye? What sort of messaging do you think that creates for that young male?
That's definitely a mixed message. So children and males and young boys, impressionable young boys, they learn from what is modeled to them. So if if poor communication is modeled to them, that is the communication that they will know. So if they see someone who is doing very well and they know what that person is really like, they're going to say, oh, that can I can still do well, and I can engage in such behaviors. And yes, that would be definitely much so a mixed message. However, that's why we want to come about and really speak to the power of mentorship with good, strong, positive, influential males, and how having a mentor or having someone within, good standing morally can make sure that you have a beautiful, healthy, prosperous life without having to go down a route that may make your problems a lot bigger.
Right.
So we really speak about how freedom is within your choices. And no one can control you in this world but you. Maybe you can be pressured to do so, but at the end of the day, you are responsible for your thoughts, feelings, actions, and behaviors.
So that moral compass that you should possess based on your, sort of own ethos.
But that's not inbuilt, right?
Right.
When you learn and you grow, and that's how your moral compass is built up.
Right.
If children, for example, boys haven't had the opportunity to make decisions, and then they become these young, impressionable adults, then they are going to have, I have so much freedom, and they haven't learned yet how to make good decisions. And they haven't built up their moral compass, maybe due to the impacts of socialization or the impacts of the adverse life experiences in which they've experienced. So that's why we really thought, this would be a great program, the one I had mentioned, the Young Man's Guide to Self-Mastery, for how you can pick and choose freedom from yourselves by understanding your own self. Because many times, many men within our society, they're not sure of their own self as of yet.
Right.
Because the opportunity never presented itself. Because boys sometimes are overlooked. And I'm not just saying this is a Cayman problem, this is international.
Well,
how can we support these young men to make sure that they are confident in themselves and able to choose decisions that will have a positive influence on their lives and the lives of others as well, while still being true to themselves and taking care of themselves.
Right. I guess in the cultural nuance, the ideal, parents and grandparents, and for some of us even our great grandparents would have shared, he's starting to smell his rank. They're trying to find their way, find out who they are and feel their way, test the waters, as it were. But with that, though, similar to what I shared, here's the young adult male, for instance, even the younger one that's considered more impressionable, seeing this older male enjoying success and being celebrated, and we know what he is, whether it's a celebrity or whether it's someone homegrown. What about when that other trying to find a kind word to put it, this other male is serving as a facilitator, serving as a coach, a mentor, an example, a public example, and isn't, perhaps from the society's standpoint, presenting the male and representing the male in a way that is genuine, not unlike the early example. Perhaps I shared by saying that how do we ensure that when we put people in positions like that, whether through volunteer or through pay, that they actually come to the table with a particular skill set and ethos that helps us to ensure that the example that they're trying to role model is one they themselves ascribe to.
So, and that is an issue that is international, especially with the media and how it influences young boys and young men, and we can even say positions within Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
And it just really speaks to the purpose of this entire campaign, which is men leading by example.
Mm-hmm.
So if, as men listening to this, if you wish to be someone that a young boy, impressionable boy looks up to, you have a great responsibility on your shoulder. If you hold these high positions, you need to take that into account, that you are responsible for modeling specific behaviors that these young boys are going to accept as being acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing something you should not do, then it should be on your conscience that, yes, I should not do this, but what example am I setting for young Caymanians in society?
Can I ask then, and I just ask in general, and then perhaps you can help me, with your training experience to phrase it properly if I don't.
Mm-hmm.
You need to be a male to model a male behavior, or can a woman or someone else model that for a young male if they're not themselves a male?
So many different things are not gender specific.
Uh-huh.
So, for example, if you have a positive role model in your life who is a female,
right,
this will still help develop that moral consciousness, that yourself, your personality. However, many times within Cayman society, for example, these young men may not have a father figure, and they may have their mother figure.
A point of reference, right? Yeah.
Believe in the strength of positive male engagement. And there are resources on island. A great one may be Boys to Men, or the program that we're going to be offering, or even our other agency, which is TCC. But not everything is gender specific. So if you have a positive model in your life and they are not a male, that can still be very beneficial.
Right.
However, that we do see a strong positive correlation when we speak to male mentorship. We also have Big Brothers, Big Sisters, which is gender specific, and it's the girls as well. They're paired up with women, and the boys are paired with men because they go through similar experiences. Because yes, we're different, but males and men and females and girls, they do have a lot in common where they can go and speak to each other about certain gender specific struggles in which they may be facing.
And I'm so grateful not only to the opportunity to talk with you and learn, but for the eloquence, but the insight in which you share. And with what you just referenced, is it then that we as a society, and if she does not mind, Miss Carolina Ferreira in her previous role over at the Red Cross, with the campaign to ensure the safety of our children, to promote, proper sort of license registration, to ensure that entities that are providing services to our youth have accepted and adopted safety protocols. What level of accountability, what level of supervision and oversight, what level of sort of loosely saying licensing to ensure that the people, whether it's the Boys to Men program or any of the others that you referenced, that these agencies, government, NGO, non-profit, or community, whether it's civic or ecclesiastical attached to our churches, that they are delivering these things, and the people who volunteer or are staffed by these agencies are actually, people of stature.
For the other organizations in which you did mention, I cannot speak on, but I can definitely speak on government. If you wish to volunteer for the Family Resource Center, for example, we have trauma-informed training, sensitivity training. We have, you also need to go through second step, which is a child protection training as well, and have a clear police clearance. But we, for example, we will offer to other agencies, and we have done so in the past. We recently had an agency come in last week, and their volunteers were trained in how you can speak to the youth within the Cayman Islands who have experienced these adverse life experiences. Because it's very much so different speaking to a child who has not experienced such things as those who have, because they have different triggers, they have different life experiences, there's different expectations and different things that were modeled to them. And it's very hard to break a cycle. But if you have the skills to do so and you have the support to do so, and we can come together within the community of service providers within the Cayman Islands and work with each other, which we are doing, we can really ensure that we are providing the best possible care to these clients and to these children. And ways to do so is just upskilling yourselves, trainings, for example, the ones that we offer, and different webinars in which we may offer as well. For example, we also do domestic violence intervention training if that was to ever happen. Other services in which they have for young boys may be the Taya Lounge, where you definitely need that trauma and sensitivity training, as well as that second step certificate, that clear police clearance. So many people are putting different requirements into place to make sure that if you want to lead by example, that you are coming from a place of good standing. Because it speaks to that original question that you had, these men who are doing very, very well, who are not the best influences, what message does that send? It sends a mixed message, and it doesn't send the right message whatsoever. So ensuring that volunteers are volunteering out the goodness of their heart, yes, but they're also qualified to fulfill these roles and fulfill these supports, and also these men in their lives, which they may be lacking.
Right. We do have a caller that would like to posit a question. Let's see if we can connect them up and figure out what... Okay, that caller decided, you know what, maybe that question was already answered, or perhaps it was worth asking another time. But from what you just shared, we're not talking about people for whom they may have experienced certain things in their lives, and they're saying, hey, please learn from my example. You know, I did this. I want to share with you so that you don't go to this path. Or perhaps they can relate, as you shared, because they bring to them not just sympathy and compassion, but a sense of empathy. I can relate to what you're saying because this has happened. Giving them a second chance to be able to positively influence someone in the right direction.
Most definitely. And you know, when people come and they've learned from their mistakes and they've chosen a different path for their life, their stories can be quite powerful. And when you tell those stories, sometimes I'm listening and I get these goosebumps, and it's aha moment. You know, it's speaking to, okay, you may have done this in the past, but look at me. I've done all these things, way more than you, and I'm doing well now for myself because I changed. I took accountability for my actions, and that's what it comes down to. It comes down to they reached a point where they realized that, you know, they are going in the wrong direction, and they took accountability for, yes, many things have happened to me that have been very unfair, but I am going to make this change.
But then it comes to perhaps to two things. One, that individual willing to acknowledge and own, hey, listen, you know, this happened, and I would like to not only make amends, but offer up this so that you don't go this path. But also perhaps a willingness to society to say, hey, you know what, you made a mistake once or n times, but we're going to give you another chance. It has to be sort of a two-way street, no?
Most definitely. It all comes down to accountability, to be able to say, yes, I've done this, and I'm responsible for that, and take ownership of past behaviors, but not making them keep learning from mistakes. Learning that you can change, and then going around, and if there are male listeners listening right now and they've maybe had a hard time and made mistakes, however they're doing well now, and they want to share their story, doing so can be quite powerful if you find the right outlet to do so. And just being positive male role models. So if you are now in good standing, and maybe you weren't so in the past, ensure that your behaviors align to what you would like your younger self to see.
Right. Well, we have truly benefited from this discussion. Quick last break. We can offer you up two options: quick closing comments, or we can just pause and then come back and then you can wrap it up. Then, which would you prefer?
Whatever works for you. I'm flexible.
Like both of us, we're both at work, right? But I know I need to be mindful of the time. Let's quickly pause and come back, and then you can just recap and wrap it for us. All right. All right. Stay tuned.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
A caring and community spirit, cherished family and cultural values. These are some of the things that still embodies the Caymanian way of life in the Eastern Districts today. Savannah Pharmacy, your neighborhood pharmacy, located in Countryside Shopping Village, is delighted to offer products and services of real value. Whether it's catering to your family's medical needs or carrying apparel, gifts, and beauty products, Savannah Pharmacy provides you with more than just prescriptions. Remember, they're always just around the corner with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays. Savannah Pharmacy. For more information, call 946-3336.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointments.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
November 19th, Grand Cayman. There's so much more Pirates Fest energy in the air. The party continues Saturday, November 19th. The doggies get their own parade starting at 11 a.m. Lukia at the National Museum at 1 p.m. The Children's Play Area at Kirk House from 2 p.m. The Trial of the Pirates at 5:30. Closing fireworks at 8 p.m. along with 2 street dances. One for the adults and one for the teens. And of course, the food festival goes on for 11 hours. Afternoon till night. Come for lunch, party a bunch, and pirate the night away.
A month of Sundays means a very long time. What is a week of Black Fridays? It is 8 days of super savings at A.L. Thompson's beginning Friday, November 18th at 6 a.m. During Black Friday week, you can take advantage of deep discounts on electronics, appliances, home decor, and tools. We invite you to review 8 pages of products in the Black Friday week flyer on althompson.com and to shop at your convenience at A.L. Thompson's, Georgetown.
Get your running shoes on, ruffle your tail feathers, and prepare to work off that extra helping of turkey dinner while giving back in a big way this Thanksgiving season. Registration is now open for the 7th annual Meals on Wheels 5K Turkey Trot Fundraising Run Walk. Walk, run, or waddle. Don't miss it. Saturday, November 26th, starting and ending at Grand Ole House, South Church Street. Registration is open to all ages. Join our sponsors, Grand Ole House, Western Resort, Kirk Market, Progressive Distributors, Cafe Del Sol, and Radio Cayman as they support Meals on Wheels in the fight to end senior hunger in the Cayman Islands. Register today online at www.mealsonwheels.ky or call 769-1974 for more information. See you at the start line.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne EBANKS.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us, and certainly appreciate this opportunity to have that continued partnership with the colleagues over at the Family Resource Center. Just going to thank you very much for holding on, and I appreciate Paul allowing us to, what they say in that American sport, to go into extra inning. So a few minutes left, perhaps you can share with us some more.
Hi, thank you so much. So again, I'm Kenzie Wright from the Family Resource Center, and I believe I'm just going to do a quick recap.
Yes, please.
What we have coming up. So again, we are, for any of our new listeners, the Family Resource Center, we're observing International Men's Day this November. The official day is November 19th, and we will be dressing for a cause on November 18th. So we have T-shirts for sale. Our International Men's Day T-shirts, you can buy them at the Family Resource Center, which is in Apollo House West on the 2nd floor. We're selling them for $25, and all funds will go towards supporting men and boys who are accessing services. from the Family Resource Center. We will also have our radio show. We will be on Bobo FM, and on the 22nd we'll be live again, and we'll be doing education and employment and what that looks like currently and how it's moving forward within the Cayman Islands. And we're going to tie that to an important topic that we're taking very seriously this year, which may be the silent crisis of rising employment within men within the Cayman Islands. We're also going to be having our family skills session. This is going to be on November 22nd, which is Raising Resilient Boys. We highly encourage parents to sign up by going onto frc.gov.ky, or they can also send us a message on social media. We're on Instagram, Facebook, we're even on TikTok now. We're on all the platforms, and you can sign up and we'll speak about this very, very important topic. And very, very excited about our six-a-side football that's coming up. If you are a football player within the Cayman Islands and you want to come out and have some fun, engage in a competitive competition, but also win some awesome prizes. And if you are a male, this will be an awesome opportunity to coach and engage with young boys in a very positive way. And if you are a young man below the ages of 16, we highly, highly encourage you to come and join us as well. We'll be starting at 9. We'll be on the SIFA field in Prospect, or the SIFA Stadium, I believe it's called. And we're actually joining up with SIFA. So this is going to be a joint initiative that we will have. If you don't have a team, you can just come and we'll put you in a team, or you can sign up. We have a registration link on our website. We are under the Department of Counseling Services, and we're the Family Resource Center, so that's how you can sign up for that. And then we're also having our forum, where we're, again, our overall goal is to just encourage men to lead by example within the islands, and we're going to be speaking about celebrating masculinity, what that looks like, the silent crisis of rising employment within Cayman and within men internationally even, and also how you can lead by example and the power of mentorship. And if you were listening earlier, we definitely spoke to, how the power of mentorship and how young boys can definitely benefit from having a positive role model in their life, whether it's a dad, an uncle, a family friend, someone who's just, wanting to give a helping hand, a neighbor, anybody. If you are a man within good standing and you want to give back to the community, I highly, highly encourage you to engage in mentorship with the young boys within the Cayman Islands. So those are the things that are definitely coming up that I want to highlight. However, we have a full calendar that can also be found on our website.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for sharing with us in the most informative way, and hoping that there'll be not only good subscription to the programming, but we'll take this on board and ensure that we are positive role models, for our children, but for our young men in particular. So thanks very much, Ms. Kenzie.
Thank you so much, Mr. EBANKS, and I hope to see you at the football event this Saturday.
There you go. I was just thinking, as you said, if you don't have a team, one cannon will be assigned to you, so you don't need to just come along and enjoy it, right?
Exactly.
All the best, and enjoy that thing they call World Cup, all right?
Yes, yes, and hopefully I'll see you in studio next time.
Looking forward to it. Have a wonderful afternoon.
You too.
All right. Listen, it's important that we draw alongside each other and ensure that we serve as the best examples, and we ourselves sometimes can look to others, for guidance and counsel. Perhaps like many things, it's not a sign of weakness, but to my thinking, it's a sure sign of strength. If we ask for help, for guidance, for direction, for instruction, we're willing to accept counsel. We don't know everything. As much as we think we know, the only thing we probably can accept is we don't know what we don't know. The only thing we know is we don't know it. So let's work together. Let's ensure that we are our brother's keeper. And by that, we're willing to ensure that the safety of our youth, male and female, of our elderly, of our entire society is paramount. The safety, security, civility, and stability are important. I invite you to have a wonderful, safe, blessed, productive, enjoyable afternoon. You are, like many of us, subscribe to prayer. Well, please, be, as they say, prayerful without ceasing. If you are also mindful that faith without works is dead, well, don't just talk, act, but act positively, productively. Until tomorrow, join us for more talk today after the midday news and midday meditation. We're hoping to have is that tomorrow, my friend? You sure? He says, yeah, Mr. Paul, it's been a long day. It was only Wednesday. All right, let's see what we can do to find joy in all. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331.
Talk Today is proudly brought to you by Pirates Fest 2022. Stay in the know. Get the full event lineup at piratesfestcayman.com.
And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening